Quickly, this is a paid segment from skinswap.com. Log into Skinswap today to be able to easily trade, buy, and most importantly for us, sell skins. Skinswap even supports PayPal, so it's quite accessible for everyone. Don't forget to use my affiliate code OMIGHTY to help me out, and also claim your free item at the top right of the website screen too. What's going on, guys? Almighty back again with the weekly Rust Skins videos, and today we have the second week of the Halloween skins. And we also have the Facepunch skins finally added to the game. So they were actually added last week, but on just a random day, somewhere like midway through the week. I was going to make a separate video on them, but I just decided that I'll do it in this one. So this is what your top sellers is looking like for this week, and the top three are community skins, so that's probably a good thing, especially for the skin creators. So we're just going to quickly go through the Facepunch items. Because most of them have been re-releases and we've only got one new one if I'm not mistaken, so we'll just go from first page to third page, top left to bottom right. So we've got the baseball bat going for $4.60. This is going for $4.68 on the community market. You're going to be able to get it for cheaper on the community market with a buy order than what you'll have to pay for it on the Rust store. So that's what I'd recommend to do. No point in investing in it because Facepunch is just going to continue releasing all of the Facepunch items again and again every single year. When an event comes up, it seems, which is very disappointing in my opinion, because I do think once they leave the Rust store, they shouldn't return to the Rust store. They should have a little bit of a rarity to them, and it should make them a bit more of a special skin and unique, and it signifies that you've played in 2020, 2019, etc. Whereas instead, Facepunch just likes to re-release the same skins every single year. As I said, I do think that's a little bit disappointing, and also it's not good for the prices of these skins, as it's going to pretty much mean that they're going to be maximum $4.60 for the baseball bat, for example, whatever the price is on the Rust store, their starting price. In this case, yes, the baseball bat is that price. It's $4.68 on the community market, which means you're going to be able to get it for cheaper on the community market with a buy order. Then we've got the carvable pumpkin starting at $3.27 on the community market, or you can buy it for $10.75 off the Rust store. So your choice, but I'm pretty sure that one's not going to be a hard decision to make. So this is what I mean. Like, these skins could actually be special if they only came out, because I'm pretty sure this carvable pumpkin came out last year. It would actually be a special skin if you could have only purchased it from the Rust store last year, whereas, of course, it's going to increase the volume of them on the community market, and also overall the volume of them for the Rust community, which is a shame. Especially when you're buying them the first year for $10.75, and then the next year they're $3.27 because they performed poorly on the community market, but also because they were re-released last year or the year before, etc. So yeah, buy the carvable pumpkin off of the community market. Cultist Deer Torch. This is actually my favorite torch skin in the game. Of course, it is only one of two thus far, but I think it's awesome. The only problem is it's not pay to win, whereas the other one is. This one's going for $6.15, but you can get it for a starting price of $4.83 on the community market. Awesome torch skin in my opinion. But as I said, the other one, so the one that comes in the deep dive bundle or whatever it is, the general DLC, that one's pay to win because you can go underwater and the torch won't actually turn off. So then the next one is the Cursed Cauldron, going for $7.70 on the Rust store and $9.45 on the community market. So buy the Cursed Cauldron off of the Rust store if you want to cop that one, or a third-party website, because it is more expensive on the community market. Although, if you're thinking, oh, Matt, it's more expensive on the community market, if you sell it for $9.45, then you're not going to be making the $7.70 to then repurchase the Cursed Cauldron. So you won't actually be making money if you sell your Cursed Cauldron on the community market and then buy another one off the Rust store because of the Steam tax. So that is a shame there as well. And that is probably like the third or fourth time the Cursed Cauldron has been re-released now. So it is unfortunate because that was actually an expensive skin. It was pay to win. You could jump up on it, use it as boost and stuff like that. So it was an awesome skin, but it's just, yeah, it's just a regular thing to see in the Rust store every Halloween now, which is a shame. And let's go to the next page. We've got the Hockey Mask, which is the metal face mask skin. Last year, I really thought this skin was going to perform well because it's the only unique metal face mask we have made by Facepunch, but it has performed poorly. In my opinion, it's semi-pay to win because it's pretty unrecognizable from the regular face mask skin because it is a completely different model. But it didn't seem to matter, and it obviously wasn't a popular enough skin to go up in price because it's starting at $6.26 on the community market, whereas it's $10.75 on the Rusted store. So definitely pick that one up off of the community market if you want to buy that. Mummy wraps are, in my opinion, pay to win, so I would recommend buying these if you have the money for them, and you continue to play Rust for an extended period of time. But they're more expensive on the community market, and that is because as a naked, you want to be trying to, hide and try and survive for as long as you can. With the mummy wraps, your clothing, especially if you're white, you're going to be a little bit harder to see with the mummy wraps, blending in a little bit better with your surroundings. So the mummy wraps for $9.25 is cheaper on the Rusted store than it is on the community market, which is going for $10.35. But that is a skin for your undies, your underwear. So you do have to have your underwear settings turned on in your nudity settings. So keep that in mind as well, because of course some players like to have their nudity settings off because they're weird dogs. All right, so then we've got the Skull, which is a rock skin. This is the only Facepunch rock skin that we've got so far as well. This is $6.15 on the Rusted store and $6.11 off of the community market. So, of course, if you want to cop this one, you can get it for cheaper off the community market, and you'd be able to maximize how much you're getting it for, or minimize, I should say, off of the community market with the buy order as well, because I'm sure you'd be able to get it for cheaper than $6.11. Awesome skin, though. I really love the rock skin, the Skull rock skin. I use it all the time. Then we've got the Skull Fire Pit. This is my personal favorite unique fire. This one's going for $7.70 off of the community, off of the Rusted store, and $7.50 off of the community market. So pretty similar. You could probably just buy it off of the community market to help someone get a little bit of extra money and keep that economy running in the Rust community, even though it'll probably get transferred to Counter-Strike. Then we've got the Skull Spikes. Now, this is a skin that has multiple different skins if you chuck it in the repair bench. It's got the regular Skull Spikes, and it's got a Candle Skull Spikes, and it's got two other Skull Spikes that I kind of remember. But this one does have multiple Skull Spikes, 3 in fact, and it's actually a pretty awesome item, but you don't really see it in game very often. It doesn't really serve any purpose. $4.60 on the Rusted store and $5.41 on the community market, so probably get that one off of the Rusted store instead. The Skull Trophy is an awesome role player item, one of my favorites, because you can just steal the skull off of one of your enemies in Rust and then chuck it on the Skull Trophy and it'll have their name displaying, so that's an awesome item. Going for $12.35 on the Rusted store and $12.49 off of the community market, so you're going to be able to get it for cheaper on the community market. And that is all of the old Facepunch skins, and I suppose we'll get started with the video on the Dracula mask. So this is the new Facepunch item, and this is $7.70. I'm assuming it's going to be a wolf headdress projectile protection, but I will double check that in game. I'll put some writing over the top of the video or something so you guys know what the projectile protection is and stuff like that, or what the item is that it is replicating. So the description says a classical Halloween costume mask which provides decent protection. $7.70 is quite expensive. I'm not sure what the item is yet. I'm assuming it's going to be a wolf headdress, but yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I'll check the crafting time. If the crafting time is short for whatever the item is, which it usually is for Facepunch skins, then it's pay to win. If you don't need a BP for it, then it's probably pay to win. Depends on what it is. If it's a wolf headdress, then of course it doesn't need a BP anyway. But the Dracula mask could be awesome, or it could be complete garbage. We will have to see. But if it says that it provides decent protection, I'm going to assume it's going to be somewhat decent in terms of projectile protection. The only question then would be, because it's a headpiece, can you put a bandana on with it as well or not? And then can you stack the projectile protection for it to actually be usable in PvP? Or is it just going to be a role player item with only 10 projectile protection and then you can't stack it with anything else, so then you're capped at 10? If that were the case, then that is not ideal. Overall, though, awesome looking skin in the Rustum Store's picture, the one picture that they provide for some reason. But I will see what I think about it on the game. If I give you a thumbs up, then I'll probably recommend investing in it. If I give you a thumbs down, then I probably won't recommend investing in it. Got to keep in mind as well, though, it is $7.70. So I will decide with a thumbs up or a thumbs down right now, as you guys can see. But yeah, it looks like it is a pretty cool looking skin. We will have to see how it looks in game. Okay, we'll just go. Are we going to go in any particular order? Yeah, nah, screw it. We're just going to go. We're going to go page 1 to 3, and we're going to go like in a random order of the skins. So we're going to look at the Bone Lord L96 going for $3.05. This does have the lower jaw on the body of the L96 of some animal, and it does have the teeth to go with it. So it's actually a pretty awesome looking L96 skin, but I really don't think it's going to perform very well. We only do have 3 L96s above $3.05, and one of them is $3.46, that being the Evil Snowman L96. The next one, that is the second most expensive L96 in the game, is the Ghost Flame L96 going for $4.22. So even if you sell that, you're not really going to be making much money. And then the Blackout L96 skin, and of course the Blackout is one of the most popular and best-selling Rust skin sets in Rust, and that's going for $6.38. So it does show you that the L96s don't have a very high demand, and I do think that that is going to unfortunately impact the prices of the Bone Lord L96 on the community market once it leaves the Rustum store. So overall, I'm not going to recommend investing in the Bone Lord L96 off of the Rustum store, simply because I do think it's definitely going to drop from that $3.05 mark once it leaves the Rustum store and goes to the community market. So let's move over to the Coffin wooden door going for $3.85. This is, of course, a wooden door skin, and yes, it does glow in the dark. So this is pretty much your typical Rust Halloween door skin that you get every year. You've either got some candles on it, a cross on it, or some skulls on it, and this one, or some spiderweb, and this one has a few of those things. So it's actually a nice looking skin, and I do like its glow, how it does have the outline of, like, it's kind of like insinuating it to be a coffin or something like that. At least that's what I'm taking from it. I do think that's quite cool. But $3.85 for a wooden door, and it doesn't have any cutouts in it. We already do have pay-to-win wooden door skins that are more pay-to-win than this and probably cheaper. $3.85 is quite an expensive starting point for a door that's going to get replaced very quickly in a wipe. So overall, I'm not going to recommend investing in the Coffin wooden door off of the Rustum store, because I just don't think it's going to have demand. Cultist Deer Torch, and that we've already done. Doomgate sheet metal door going for $5.40. Very expensive initial price for the Doomgate sheet metal door. So this is a glowing deployable, but typically glowing deployables go for around about $3.45, which is more expensive than the standard deployables. But this one's more expensive than the standard glowing deployables. This is actually a cool looking, I'd say slightly more detailed version of like the From Hell kind of set. It does have your typical star thing. I'm having a complete mental blank of what they're called. And then you've got like the devil on the top, and then you've got all of the skulls of the people that have died and going to hell, I suppose. So it's actually a pretty sick looking skin. The glow also looks awesome. If the skin was like red instead of orange in terms of its glow, I do think that would probably actually make it a better seller, but of course it would be a lot more similar to the From Hell set. So I do think that it is nice that we do have a little bit more of a unique skin rather than it just being the same. $5.40 is very expensive. I do think the Rust community is going to froth this skin, but I do also think you could get this skin for cheaper on the community market with a buy order if you do want to invest in it. I actually do think this skin could perform well. But I would definitely recommend getting it off of the community market with a buy order rather than buying it off of the Rustam store for $5.40 because, in my opinion, that's just too expensive to be buying off of the Rustam store for its initial standard store price of $5.40. Going to be way too hard for you to make money off of. Moving over to the Dracula furnace, going for $2.30. I don't really get why the Dracula is holding its own mouth open, but, you know, it is what it is. Pretty unique looking furnace skin in my opinion. The glow is unfortunate because it might be glowing like the tux, but I don't think it is. I'm pretty sure it's just glowing the eyes. And we have so many sick looking furnace skins, plus we also have so many awesome looking Halloween furnace skins that I really don't think this one's going to make the cut. I do think it looks pretty skits during the day, and I do like the red glowing eyes, but I just think there's better furnace skins, and unless you really want to go for like that Dracula vampire theme, I don't think the Dracula furnace is going to have that much demand once it leaves the Rustam store and goes to the community market, excuse me. So overall, I'm not going to recommend investing in it, even though it's only going for $2.30. It's actually a good price. If you pick it up as a play skin, I don't think you're really going to lose money off of it. But as an investment, I'm not going to recommend investing in it because I don't think you're going to make really any money from it. So overall, I'm not going to recommend investing in that skin. Moving over to the Ghost Halloween MP5, going for $3.05, standard store price for weapons and tools. This is a continuation, if I'm not mistaken. Ghost Halloween MP5, I think, yeah, we've had the AK and the AR. Wait, did I just say AK and AR? We've had the AK and the SAR. Look, it's actually quite a unique looking skin. I actually do like the design of it. It's very simple, but I do think that it's a little bit too simple. I don't know what the ADS looks like because I'm looking at it on the Rustam store, and there's no screenshot of the ADS. Reminder to all skin creators to add a ADS screenshot in your weapon skins. I'm pretty sure it does have a white iron sight though, and if it does, I wouldn't really consider that beneficial. Of course, it's good in a grass biome, but it's actually pretty bad in a snow biome, so because it does blend in with the background quite easily. So overall, I'm not going to recommend investing in the Ghost Halloween MP5. It's slightly pay to lose in my opinion if it does have a white ADS. But of course you guys will be seeing it. But either way, even if it doesn't, I'm not going to recommend investing in it because I think it's going to have a pretty bland ADS. And overall, it is a nice skin, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's really like a over-the-top hype skin that is going to generate a lot of hype for it. So I'm not going to recommend investing in the Ghost Halloween MP5. Cool skin though. All right, moving over to the Ghostly Sheet Metal Door, going for $3.85, which is pretty much standard what you're expecting the glowing deployables to be. It must have gone up slightly. Overall, it's actually quite a unique looking sheet metal door skin, in my opinion, but it does look a little bit pixely during the day, like a little bit stretched out, and the resolution's a bit weird. I know that wouldn't be the skin creator's fault, it's more just the game, unfortunately, reducing the resolution a little bit and compressing it. The glow looks very unique in my opinion. I actually really like the glow for this, and of course it is supposed to be some scary little ghost, some spooky ghost. Going for $3.85, it's actually not a terrible price for it to be going at, but we already have so many nice glowing sheet metal door skins and also pay to win sheet metal door skins with cutouts or the free Twitch one, that I don't think that this one's really going to have that much demand. It'll probably shoot up right before the Halloween event comes out every year for Rust, but yeah, overall, I'm not going to recommend investing in it. If you do try and invest in it, I recommend getting it off the community market with a buy order. I do think you'd be able to get it for cheaper off of the community market than buying it off of the Rustam store for $3.85. So not going to recommend investing in the Ghostly Sheet Metal Door. All right, moving over to the Gore SAR, going for $3.05. So I've already had a quick look through all of the Rustam store before I started recording this video, and I actually think this is a pretty cool, gnarly looking SAR skin, quite unique in fact. But I do think that the ADS is really lacking. So your iron sights are completely default, which I just don't understand why they weren't skinned. The back stock is default, which is also quite weird. And the back like circular part of the SAR when you ADS, you would expect it to have eyes because it seems the theme of this skin is extra eyes. And then on the right side of the SAR, it does say, "I see you." So you really would think that like there would be an eye staring back at you while you're ADSing, but it seems like that was a bit of a missed opportunity. I don't even know what that's supposed to be. Maybe like the back of the cranium or something like that with the different plates, but $3.05 is what this SAR is going for. I actually think this is unique enough to be around that price once it leaves the Rustlum store, but I don't really think it's going to be going above that price, and that is mainly because the ADS is just so bland. I do think it is, it definitely is what lets the skin down a little bit in my opinion. It's actually an awesome looking skin, don't get me wrong, but I just think that ADS is pretty boring, and there's better skins to use in PvP because of the ADS. Awesome looking SAR skin, but yeah, two things there which I think are slightly a bit of a missed opportunity. Skin creator, if you're watching this, hopefully take notes, and if you ever want to send me your skins before you actually upload them, I'll critique them and I'll let you know what I think's cool and not so cool. Alrighty, moving over to the pumpkin bow, going for $3.85. Now, I do think that this is both a pay-to-win skin and a pay-to-lose skin. This is a weird one, and for the same reason, for that matter. So it's a glowing weapon, and the only glowing weapons you really ever think are pay-to-win are glowing iron sights or cut-out iron sights. I feel like this pumpkin bow kind of does have the closest thing to a glowing iron sight it can have, and that is because the glowing mouth of the pumpkin face is actually right next to the arrow. So I mean, in the dark, theoretically, you could aim that glowing part just slightly down and to the right of whatever you're planning on aiming at, and you should theoretically hit the target with the arrow. So I do think situationally that actually is slightly pay to win. And then to counter myself, I also think it's pay to lose, and that is because it is glowing. So you're going to be in prim stage with a bow, and then running around in the dark glowing. So you're going to make yourself an easy target, but in certain situations you might be able to line up your shots a little bit easier where you can't actually see your arrow or your bow because it is too dark and there's no backlight to be able to see any extra detail. This could help, but I do think it's very situational, and I also do think situationally you could also be killed from the glow as well. So it's an interesting skin, a bit of a 50-50 there. Probably one of the only glowing bows. I can't actually think of another glowing bow, but there probably is one. $3.85 is what it's going for. I reckon you could get it for cheaper off of the community market, but if some people do start making plays with this bow saying it's pay to win, I do see the price of it going up. But if they don't start making videos of it saying it's pay to win, then I don't really think the bow is going to have that much demand. So if you do want to try and pick this up, I'd recommend getting it off of the community market with a buy order. All right, moving over to the pumpkin exhibition. Exhibition. I don't know why I said it like that. AK. So first problem I see here is the pumpkin exhibition is called exactly that. It's not called pumpkin exhibition AR or AK. And I do think that is a negative every time that happens. So every time a skin creator makes a weapon or anything for that matter, and they don't have the item's name in the name, I always think that's a massive letdown. It's going to make it harder to find the item in the game, especially if it's an item that isn't in the show advanced options drop down for the items on the Steam community market. Thankfully the AK is, but at the same time, there's so many AK skins, and I don't think this one is going to have enough demand compared to the other AK skins. There's already so many nice AK skins in the game. Whereas, yeah, I don't think this is going to have any real hype behind it that is going to drive its price above the $3.05 mark. In fact, I do expect this price to go down. So if you want to pick up this skin, I'd recommend getting it off of the community market. Overall, I'm not going to recommend investing in the pumpkin exhibition off of the Rustlum store for this week. Alrighty, moving over to the pumpkin road sign gloves, going for $1.55. We have, what, 2 pages of road sign gloves, I'm pretty sure, and 1 page of them are like below $1.55. So road sign gloves really aren't that good to invest in these days. Of course, you do have the tactical gloves that are better. They're basically the next step up of road sign gloves. You can't skin them, but in my opinion, they already look good. I do like with the pumpkin road sign gloves that it seems each hand is different. So one hand has like a more happy looking face, and then the other hand has a more sinister looking face. I do think that is quite cool. Another plus is that it's only $1.55, but a negative is that it's orange, it's green. They're both fugly colors together, and they're pumpkin themed, so it does make them much more niche. You kind of have to pair them with the pumpkin road sign to make them work. I can't think of any other skins that would look good with them, but overall I don't think the pumpkin road sign gloves are going to have really any demand on the community market once they leave the Rust store. There's already other road sign gloves on the community market that are around this price that I'm sure most people would probably rather buy. The only time that the pumpkin road sign gloves would ever really go up in value would be right before the Halloween skins come out, because, you know, the role players and skin collectors and stuff like that want to be buying their Halloween skins so that they can use them through the Halloween events on Rust. But overall, I'm not going to recommend investing in the pumpkin road sign gloves off of the Rust store, even though they're at a safe $1.55 price. Alright, moving over to the next $1.55 skins, we have the Scarecrow chestplate and the Scarecrow face mask. Now, thankfully, these aren't different prices, which for some reason we have been getting some metal face masks of the same set to be more expensive than the metal chestplate. But yeah, as I just said, these are the same price. It seems like the Scarecrow face mask and chestplate look really awesome with the Scarecrow suit thing that you can spawn in or you can use on modded servers. But besides that, they're going to be not as easy to pair with certain things, but at the same time, I do think that they're going to be a more pay-to-win skin, which you wouldn't probably expect me to say, but I do think that this is like a cheap alternative to like the desert Raiders camo. So I do think that they could be more of a desert camo kind of Metal Gear that you could use to blend in with the desert biomes a little bit easier. And for only $1.55, I wouldn't be surprised if they sat around this price, but they could go slightly above it potentially. Overall, I don't think these are going to be too risky to invest in, but at the same time, I really don't think you're going to be making that much money off of them if you do invest in them. But overall, I do think that they are relatively safe to be buying. Alrighty, moving over to the Sinister Armored Door. This is a glowing deployable going for $4.60. Of course, it is an Armored Door skin. I actually think that this is going to have decent demand, but the fact that it's starting at $4.60, in my opinion, does make it a risky investment. So I think it's actually quite a nice looking skin, and it does have a nice looking glow. But the fact that, yeah, it's $4.60, so it's like $1 more expensive than usual. I think you could probably pick it up for a little bit cheaper off of the community market with a buy order pretty quickly. But overall, as a long-term investment, I wouldn't be surprised if the Sinister Armored Door did go up in value and did make you money, because it is an edgy-looking skin. The Rust community does like the edgy skins, but it probably will take a little bit longer for you to actually be making money off of this skin. And also, it's a bit harder to be investing in expensive Rust skins at the moment, and that is simply because the Rust skin economy is kind of down at the moment because of Counter-Strike. So overall, it is going to be a long-term investment, and so I wouldn't recommend getting it as a short to medium-term investment, but if you do want to try and pick it up as long-term investment, I'd recommend getting it off the community market with a buy order. Alright, moving over to the final page, we have the Spell Garage Door. This is going for $6.15 and is a glowing deployable. It is above the Sinister price for glowing deployables by almost double. But I do think that this is a skin that's going to have demand. So it's got some girl on it. The Rust community, because they can't have a pull, they are going to want to get this girl skin. In saying that, though, we do get a lot of girls on skins, garage doors specifically, quite often on the Rust Twitch events. So that also is going to make it a little bit harder for the demand of this. But it's got a sick glow. It's actually got pretty awesome artwork. It could be good. It's just because it's $6.15, it does make it hard. I'd recommend getting this off of the community market, but I also would recommend investing in it. I'm not going to recommend investing in it off of the Rust store, though, because it is too expensive off the Rust store, in my opinion. $6.15 is quite a hard price point to be starting at in terms of investing, because you have to keep in mind you're gonna have to sell it for like $7 to even make like the $6.15 back, and that does make it a lot harder of an investment. So I'd recommend getting the Spell Garage door off of the community market with a buy order. All right, moving over to the Tombstone Barricade, going for $2.30. So the last Barricade skin, and maybe even the only Barricade skin we've gotten since I've been doing these videos, which has been almost 4 years, maybe it has been 4 years, was the Adobe Barricade, which we got only like a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago or something like that. I'm pretty sure that's going for like $1.55. I can't remember how much it started going for on the Rust store, probably $2.30, but my point is Barricade skins clearly don't have a high demand. Of course, you wouldn't really expect them to have a high demand anyway, because when do you ever see Barricades get used in the game? They're pretty much redundant. But in saying that, even though I think, like, I know the demand isn't going to be high for the Tombstone Barricade, I do think you can make money off of it long term. The demand's not going to be high, but I don't think the quantity will be high once they leave the Rust store and go to the community market. The only people that are going to be buying these off of the Rust store are the people that want to play with them. And then when they play with them, they're not going to put them on the community market. So it's really going to be the more casual players that are going to be buying the Tombstone Barricade. So that does mean that the quantity is going to be low on the community market. That is good in terms of quantity, because it's probably going to be one of those skins that someone tries to manipulate in the future. And either way, even if it doesn't get manipulated, I do think the Tombstone Barricade will slowly go up in price. I'd recommend trying to get this off of the community market with a buy order, but picking it up as a play skin, even if you don't actually ever use it, I do think it'll be sitting around this price, or eventually go up if you hold it as a long-term investment. And moving over to the final skin of the week, we have the Zombieland AR going for $4.60. This has a cutout. The stock is not actually on the AK, but these days that is not a very uncommon sight to see. So pretty cool looking design, very flashy on the body and the AK's magazine, sorry. But the ADS is a bit weird. I don't really know what it's supposed to be. Is it supposed to be a portal? Is it supposed to be an eye? Is it supposed to be what? The plus side is it appears in the screenshot. So shout out to this screen creator because they've added an ADS screenshot. It does actually have a colored front sight. I'm assuming it must be pink. I can't exactly tell because the picture's a bit blurry, but yeah, it's good that they added that as my point. Overall, pretty nice looking AK skin, but I don't actually think it's going to have really that much demand once it leaves the Rust store and goes to the community market. And not only that, it's already starting at $4.60. So AKs are already a hard investment to begin with when they're starting at even a standard store price. But the fact that this one is starting at $4.60, almost $5, there's already so many nice AK skins on the community market. There's already so many AK skins in general on the community market, especially for $4.60 or below, that I would say the majority of the Rust community will find an AK for $4.60 or below that they like more than this Zombieland AR. And so that means the demand, in my opinion, isn't really going to be there for the Zombieland AR, which means that the price isn't going to increase. So I would say if you want to pick up the Zombieland AR, I'd recommend getting it off of the community market with a buy order, but overall I wouldn't recommend investing in it off of the Rust store for this week. That is going to do it for this week, guys. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and remember, have a skits one.